In today's Sister Conversation, we're going to talk about encouraging the encourager. Hey sis, it's LaKitia, your sister coach, and also the founder of A Sister's Truth. And here at A Sister's Truth, we help women to discover, define, and live their truth for manifesting a courageous life without limits. And as your sister coach, it is my job to make sure that you have the tools and the encouragement needed to stay true to yourself for a purpose-driven life. So for today's Sister Conversation, I want to talk about encouraging the encourager. Now, before I get started, let me just be transparent right now because I am literally going off the cuff. I am speaking directly from my heart, so this is not scripted. This is not even planned. This is something that was weighing heavily on me today, and I just really wanted to just get my thoughts out. It's a Friday evening around 8:30, 9 o'clock. And I'm preparing for my weekend because I'm going out to sell my book this weekend. But I heard a podcast earlier today, and it took everything in me to fight back the tears from listening to this particular podcast. And she said in the podcast, sometimes the encourager needs encouraging. And I was like, ooh, I'm going to talk about that on my blog. But I really wanted to just do an audio so I could just get my thoughts out without worrying about, just writing it and all the grammatical things that comes with writing. I just wanted to just get my thoughts out. So if this seems all over the place, please just give me some grace because I really want to share my thoughts with you and really be transparent and just show some vulnerability with this audio. So if you're following me on Instagram, or if this is not your very first video or audio that you have listened to here on YouTube, then you already know that I have been listening to the Redefining Wealth podcast by Patrice Washington, and I absolutely love Patrice. She is one of my BFFs in my head, and she's definitely a mentor / business coach / spiritual coach without even knowing it, because I am just so enthralled with her message and her gifts and the purpose that God has placed on her life. So I'm one of her many followers. I'm just really drawn to Patrice. So on this week's podcast show, she talked about surrendering. And like I said earlier, within that particular podcast, she said, sometimes the encourager needs encouraging. And it took everything in me to really just hold back the tears because I can relate to that so well. And when I heard her say that, I said to myself, I'm going to write a blog post on that subject, but decided to do this audio instead. If you heard me speak before, then you know my history. You know my story. I was sexually abused by my stepfather for 8 years. The abuse started at 8 years old and it ended at 16. I'm the first to graduate high school, to go off to college, to get a master's degree, attend law school. I'm the oldest of all my siblings, so I am the first to do everything for the most part, except for have children, because I'm the only one who really doesn't have any kids at this point. But for the most part, I am the first to do any and everything in my family. So at a young age, when I was 18 years old, 17, 18 years old, I made a decision to be the example that my sisters and brothers needed to see. Because growing up in the projects of Chicago Heights, Illinois, you see a lot and you experience a lot. One of the things that I experienced that I know so many of you may have experienced as well, but if you haven't, I pray that you never will, and that's the loss of a sibling due to murder. My sister was murdered when I was 17 years old, and she left behind a daughter who was 2 years old at the time. And so that really, I mean, as you can imagine, weighed really heavily on me. And so at the time, I had just lost my sister. I had a brother that was pretty much going down that exact same path. just getting into all type of mischiefs and, drugs and gang violence and just all these type of things. And I'm just like, my brothers and sisters need to see a positive, successful role model and example, because we just didn't have that. Not someone that, we can touch and feel and that we can call upon. So I decided to be that person. I took it upon myself to be that person. So graduated from high school, went off to college and all these things, and did all these wonderful achievements. Like, blew my own mind. Okay, God is so great. Blew my own mind. I'm studying more on my own mind every single day. But in the process of becoming the strong, successful example that I felt as though my siblings needed to see so they could pull motivation and encouragement from, it was almost like I became isolated. And I say that because I got to a point where I was afraid to share my shortcomings, share my fears, share my struggles, share my failures with my family, because it got to a point where they were really looking up to me because I was that person. It was nothing for my mom, my aunt, or somebody to say, you need to be more like Kiki. That's my nickname. You need to be more like Kiki, or you should go to school like Kiki, or Kiki did this and Kiki did that, and Kiki did this and Kiki did that, which is fine, but it created for me this facade that I felt as though that I had to live up to. So really quickly I became very isolated, even though I'm always around my family. They would tell you that, but I still felt isolated. I still will go in and out of depression because I felt like I couldn't just be me around my family, because I didn't want to let anybody down. Because if you have someone that's saying you need to be more like this person, then in my mind, let me not share my struggles. Let me not share, what it is that I'm truly going through right now. So for a long time, it was as if I wasn't getting any encouragement from my family. As you can imagine, my mom and I didn't really have the best relationship growing up. I was in a household where she, like I said, I was being sexually abused. My mom knew about the sexual abuse, so as you can probably imagine, that was a huge strain on our relationship. So when I left the house, I didn't really respect my mom the way that I respect her now. Through therapy, I was able to get past my mom and my daddy issues and really heal from the sexual abuse. So a lot of the love and encouragement that I yearned for from my mother and my father, I didn't get growing up. I didn't get, in my early 20s, my mid 20s. My relationship with my parents is totally different now. I feel like we're a lot closer now. But, during the time when I was young and impressionable, I just didn't have that. So it was like, who do I turn to? It's like I'm crying out inside, like I'm just trying to tell them without telling them, see me. Do you see me? Ask me how I'm doing. Like, don't just assume. Like ask me and really want to know the answer and really want to know the truth about what's going on with me. For a long time, I lived in Atlanta, Georgia by myself before somebody actually came down to visit me. And I used to think to myself, like, they don't know how I'm living. They, as in my family, don't really know how I'm living down here in Atlanta. They just know that I'm in college and I'm going to school. For that's all they knew. But I could have been in some really, really crazy stuff. I can tell you anything when you're thousands of miles away. I can tell you anything. So it was a really, really lonely time, and I was in and out of depression as well, because I felt like I just really did not have that love and support like I really needed from my family. So if you're that type, if you find yourself in that situation, I would just want to encourage you to speak up. Please speak up. Don't continue to feel obligated to live up to this facade that you created in your head, because I could have possibly just completely created this facade in my head. You know what I'm saying? I could have really just asked for help more and spoke up more, but I just didn't. At the time, I just did not have the courage to do it. I was just going through so much. You guys, you just don't understand. My self-esteem was really low. I had a lot of demons that I had to work through. When you're sexually abused for 8 years, when you go through that much trauma for 8 years, you don't just get over that in a few months, in a few days, in a year or two. You don't just get over that. It's a process that you have to go through. And so going through this process, it was just I just did not have the encouragement that I felt as though I should have had from my family. Now, did I have mentors that was in my life that helped to guide me? Absolutely. Did I make new friends that was around me that I could lean on? Absolutely. But what I really yearned for was the love and encouragement and the attention from my mother and my father. So, I went through this. So I went through this phase of feeling invisible. So one of the many reasons I fell in love with my husband is because when I dated my husband, he said and meant something that no other man had said to me before when I was in a relationship, and that was, Keisha, put your cares on my shoulder. Let me carry your problems for you. I had never had anyone, man or woman, I had never had anyone to say that. And he was so sincere. Now, the first time he said it, I looked at him like he was damn crazy. Let me just be honest. So it took some time for that to really sink in. Because when you are back in the day, independent woman, I didn't pay my way through school. I done bought a house, car, travel the world, all these things. And for this man to come in and say, put your world on my shoulders, let me carry your problems for you. It was hard to surrender and let go and allow him to come into my life and be the man that God created him to be for me. So that was a process that took time, but that's one of the many reasons why I fell in love with my husband. And so, just being around him, for 10 years, we've been together for 10 years. We're married for 4, but we've been together for 10 years. Being around him for 10 years, he's seen me, evolve and grow and progress, because I've done a lot since I've been with him. And so he sees the strength in me. He sees the strength and the tenacity, that I have. And, sometimes he can, for lack of a better phrase, slip up. and I feel forget that, hey, I still need that encouragement too. Prime example, my husband and I were, we're talking, we was home from work and we were just talking about, our day and how things went for that particular day. And, he was telling me about a conversation he had with someone at his job, and he was talking about me, and he was telling her, the person that he was talking to, that telling her about how strong I am. And, sometimes, I can get into this mode where I don't need any help from anybody, that I'm just so focused, on what it is that I'm doing or what I have my mind set on, that, I don't really need any help. Because, his thing is that my wife can do anything. If she says she's going to do something, she's going to put her mind to it, and she's going to actually do it. And so when he was talking, and I'm listening to him, and I'm just like, oh my goodness. So when he stopped talking, I said, babe, please see me. Please see me and know that I always need help. I always need your encouragement. I will always need that. Yes, I understand that I'm a strong person, but that doesn't mean I don't get scared. That doesn't mean I don't get frustrated. That doesn't mean I don't doubt myself. Like, I still need that love and encouragement from you. I was like, please don't fall into that same sucking place, is what I called it. That same sucking place that everybody else falls into, where they're just like, oh, Keisha can handle it. She, any hardship comes her way, she always ends up on top. She can handle it. Like, please, you of all people, please, you don't do me like that, because you're my husband, and I do need your support. If I face something, of course I'm going to, whatever that hardship is, I'm going to do my best to get through it. But that doesn't mean I don't need prayer. That doesn't mean I don't need, enlightenment. That doesn't mean I don't need support, right? That doesn't mean that I don't go through a period where I doubt myself. So I was like, so please don't lose what I fell in love with you for, because I was like, you are my husband. I share everything with you. I'm an open book with you. So you know everything. Hear me. If I'm telling you that I'm having a rough day and I'm telling you that I need help, I need you to hear me and believe me, because that's another thing too. I can tell somebody that I need help, and it's like they don't even believe me. It's like, no, you don't need no help. Like, no, not you. You don't need any help, right? And so after being, told that so many times, I did go through a period where I just stopped asking for help. Because what's the point of asking for help if no one's going to help me out, and then I end up having to figure it out on my own, right? So I went through that period too, in and out of that period of asking for help and not asking for help. But going through that period of not asking for help, because those who I asked let me down. But I had to learn and understand that I needed to continue to speak up. I needed to continue to ask for help, and just, and know that God gives me strength, and He was always with me. But my spiritual journey is something that I'm continuing to work on as well. So I just really wanted to just come on here and just share my thoughts, because when Patrice said encourage the encourager, it just sparked something in me, and I wanted to just get this out. And I just wanted to encourage you to go ahead and encourage somebody else. No matter how strong you think that person is, no matter how strong you know that person is. I don't care how big the hardship, how big the challenge was, that person was able to get over and get through. I want you to encourage that person. Even if that is the person that you always go to give you a pick me up and to motivate you. Take some time and call that person up and give them some words of encouragement, because they need it too. Think about it. If you always pull it from them and you always draining them, then where are they going to get their energy and motivation from? Pour back into somebody else. If you've taken a little bit of somebody else, pour back into them. Pray for them. Right? Give them a spiritual word every now and again. Pick up the phone and ask them how they're doing. And be genuinely interested in their answer, and don't turn around and make it all about you. Literally have a conversation that's all about them. Give them the chance to vent, and then don't judge them. Don't make them feel bad about it. Encourage them to let it out. And it doesn't matter how much you are pouring into someone else. That doesn't take away from you. That is not to belittle the strength and courage that you have. And if you are the encourager that's encouraging everybody, it's okay to get that encouragement that you need. It's okay to reboost and re-energize yourself and ask for help in that situation, because no matter what, you are always enough, and your truth is beautiful. Hey sis, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to watch our video. I am so excited to let you know that we're going to be uploading new videos every week to give you the tools, the encouragement, the motivation, the inspiration that you need in order to live a courageous life without limits. So in order to stay connected with us, I need you to hit that subscribe button and also ring the bell so you can get notifications every single time we upload a new video. In the meantime, check out these videos right here, and until I see you again, always remember that you are enough and your truth is